Welcome to the Liberace Mansion.
Welcome to Under the Vegas Sun, looking at the people, the events, and the news surrounding Las Vegas and the entire Vegas Valley. Hello, I'm Steve Schorr. We are live from the Liberace Mansion. You know, we always talk in the show about the events that take place in Las Vegas, some of the great shows, the signing, for instance, of Lady Gaga to a long-term residency program right here in Las Vegas to appear at the Park Hotel. There are so many things that do take place. Probably one of the more important events that will take place in Las Vegas is an event that involves the future, really, of our country and what happens to families, to people. It's called the Women's Leadership Conference. It will take place in just a few weeks. You will find out more about that conference, why it's taking place, and what they hope to gain from it in just a few moments. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You know, it's been said many times that the world has changed. Sometimes the change is not what people expect. Sometimes the change is very powerful and very influential. There are some great things happening in the world today. And one of the changes is something called gender equality. And the more and more and more that we get to that point, I believe personally, the better we become as a society. A lot of people are involved in that. One of the biggest events taking place will take place right here in Las Vegas. It's called the Women's Leadership Conference, taking place on the 27th and 28th of this month. And a lot of people are going to be there. And I'm very, very honored to have a special guest, the individual who helps put that whole thing together, Dawn Christensen. Dawn, welcome to our program.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I think what you're doing is amazing. And I'm very proud to say that I was involved back in 2007 when it began. And I've seen it grow. The paradigm shift that is taking place regarding women today is probably the most dramatic that I ever expected in my lifetime. I'm curious how you see that, being so involved in what the Women's Leadership Conference seeks to do.
Sure. So I think it's incredibly exciting to see what's happening now, the momentum. More women are running for office. More women are getting more engaged in advocating for themselves, whether it's professionally, with the Me Too movement, the Time Is Now and Time's Up movement. So I think there's really been a galvanization of women looking to continue to push gender equality forward and really advocate for that and make sure that it happens. I think, you know, I'm only 46 and I've seen, remember several years of the woman already. So I know that, you know, there's been in the 90s, there was Year of the Woman. In the early 2000s, this was the Year of the Woman. And now we're saying it again in 2018. So, you know, hopefully this really does become the momentum and the change takes effect. And the Women's Leadership Conference is really a place where women can come together, support each other, push each other forward to new heights, whether that's professionally, whether that's personally, but really have an opportunity to spend 2 days thinking about what are those challenges in their life that they'd like to tackle, that they'd like to take on, and have the support and the resilience and the power and courage to do that, and to really find a motivational and inspirational space to make that change.
One of the things that I have seen is that there is not, it doesn't only impact women, it impacts men as well. And I think as men progress and as they see a better tomorrow, the potential of changing to where we get true gender equality, I think will greatly take place. You are open and invite men to attend this because I think that interaction, that dialogue becomes critically important.
Oh, of course, absolutely. We would love to see more and more men come to the conference. We have a small group now. We're continuing to get the word out. We want to appreciate your help in doing that. Certainly, having men there as advocates, as allies, I think, you know, we all have to do this together. You know, as a society, as a community, it can't be just one group working on this. It has to be everyone collectively. And I think, you know, parts of the conference, one, they're universal messages. They're about leadership. They're about business skills. They're about hope resilience, courage, passion, energy. All those things are not gender specific. So that's issue one. I think any man that comes to the conference is also going to have personal and professional development messages that resonate with them. But secondly, men have to be a part of this movement.
You can't do it without men being involved.
No, you can't. And men out there that have obvious wives, mothers, sisters, daughters, granddaughters. There's women in their lives. They might have women that they supervise, or they might have a supervisor that's a woman. So we all collectively need to get to that together, to gender equality. And when women are fully participating in the economy and in the community, that benefits everyone. Certainly it benefits the incomes for families. It certainly benefits the economy and benefits businesses.
Benefits America.
Absolutely.
Any way you look at it, it benefits America.
Absolutely.
And I think anytime that you do the right things, and I'll put that in quotes,
Sure.
the right things, I think America does become a stronger and stronger place. And I think when we take the right steps to continue to shatter that glass ceiling, that's the right thing for the world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You have put together an amazing conference this year. In 2007, MGM Resorts International started the conference, and it has grown now. It's now operated by a 501c3 nonprofit, and the proceeds from it actually go to help other organizations that are doing the right things to help women, families, children, so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So first thing, I know you keep saying that I've done it. I want to point out that there's a very large committee that works on this conference, a very passionate group.
And I want to be honest with the audience that I am a small part, but I am a small because I believe in what you're doing. I believe in the things that it's changing.
Yep.
So I don't want the audience not to know that.
Yeah, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing, and you're a perfect example of a man who's involved, who's helping to push forward together and working to get other men involved. But there is a very passionate group of MGM employees mainly that work on the conference, and so there's probably 60 people that put it together. So. But to your point on the nonprofits, so this is an example of women uplifting women. So in addition to coming to the conference and finding that personal and professional development and getting recharged personally and investing in yourself, the other great thing is you're also investing in the community, because once we pay for the conference, we donate the proceeds after cost to a nonprofit in town that serves women and or girls. So this last year's the conference in 2017, we were able to provide a donation based on the proceeds to 3 organizations here in town that are working to end human trafficking. In years past, we've supported an organization called Dress for Success Nevada that helps prepare women to go out and get jobs by providing them with the clothing that they need for interviews, especially if they've been out of the workplace. They may not have, the basic suits to go and interview, and if you don't look the part, you can't be hired for the part. So that's another organization. We've supported the Women's Research Institute at UNLV, and a list of other organizations as well. So it's a great community event as well.
We'll talk a little bit about some of the guest speakers. You've set up an amazing lineup of speakers, but one of the things I want to talk about is how the Me Too movement in specific has raised the level of awareness that I don't think had ever been there before. And I think any time that we do that, we raise that level to where people can understand what should be and what should not be. I think we become better.
Sure.
How much of raising that awareness is the Women's Leadership Conference about? How much is not only what happens those 2 days, but what happens to the days and weeks and months and years after is important to the Women's Leadership Conference?
Sure. So I'm always struck whenever I have the opportunity to go out and speak about the conference. One thing that I'm always struck by is almost every time a woman stays behind and talks to me about that they've been to the conference, they love the conference, and here's how the conference changed their life. So I've heard all kinds of stories. People have gone back to school and gotten a degree, which allowed them to go, into a different position and earn more money. I've heard stories of women who were about to leave a job because they felt like, they weren't going anywhere, so they went back and they asked for a bigger project, or they asked for a promotion, or they asked for a raise. So those are all things that, continue to make someone's life better. I've heard stories where they decided to go and start their own business. They were scared to do that, but the conference gave them the confidence to go out and take a huge risk and leave a secure job and start a business, and their business became very successful.
I know two in particular that had been in the conference before that are now running for public office. And They have told me personally that they would not have had the ability to consider themselves to run for public office had it not been for what they learned and what they gained from the conference.
Yeah, so those are wonderful examples. I mean, I've heard stories too of people that were in not a great relationship, and they had the courage to leave that relationship and go on and really fulfill their life and do bigger and better things and be, happier and healthier for it. So, so I want to go to why that is. Why do people feel like they can run for office or they can do big things? And going back to the lineup that you mentioned, we look for people who have stories that are really going to inspire the audience. People that either have had something really terrible happen to them, and they found the hope and resilience to get past it. And we have stories of people who are the first to do something, right? The first woman to do this, the first woman to do that. Women who have tried something and failed publicly and big, but then they learn from it and they move on and they do something even bigger. Women who have come from very tough circumstances, childhoods, upbringings, and they've gone on to do big things. So
I'm going to take a break for a couple of seconds.
Sure.
When I come back, I want to talk about some of these amazing speakers that you have put together. Immaculée, I don't know if anybody has ever heard of Immaculée, but I'm telling you that people will be changed just by her alone. So we're going to take a break for a couple of seconds. When we come back, we'll have more about this amazing conference. It's the Women's Leadership Conference in Las Vegas, August 27th to 28th. It can make a difference. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey, it's Mark Chinook from Monday's Dark, and you are watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Schorr.
When was the last time you heard somebody speak that truly had an impact on you? I could probably mention 4 or 5 in my own life. Having that impact, gaining that knowledge, can indeed make the difference. The Women's Leadership Conference in Las Vegas often has that impact. Once again, a very special guest from the conference, Christensen. Okay, welcome back to our program.
Thanks.
The opening keynote speaker is an individual that I honestly believe has changed the way not only men and women, but changed the way people in general look on their personal finances. Mm-hmm. And I think without personal finances, we all face not a very bright future. So your keynote speaker, opening keynote speaker, is an individual who has done that and more.
Yep. Yeah, you said it all. Susie Orman. I mean, everybody knows her name. I think she's globally recognized. We're thrilled to have her. To your point exactly, you can't do big things in your life if you don't have a strong financial footing. And that's her message is, make sure that you're secure, you have a nest egg, you have retirement, you have savings, because then you can make big decisions and have them be smart decisions and well thought and secure decisions, because you have some savings behind you. So I think that's going to be a big part of her powerful message.
Yeah, I wrote down what her speech is going to be strong, be smart, be secure. How truthful is that? I mean, that's just it. You have to be strong and smart and secure.
No, absolutely. So, but that's really the beauty of the conference is the speakers that have she comes from very humble beginnings. She was a waitress making $400 a week before she, started on this financial path. But those are the stories there, we look for stories that resonate with a very diverse audience, as our audience comes from all walks of life, all stages of their career. So what are the stories that are going to inspire women where you hear them and you think, well, gosh, if she did that, I could do this little thing in my life that's holding me back because so-and-so did something really remarkable, and, you know, I can handle what's going on in my life.
It's like the next individual I want to talk about. And everybody has heard about Me Too and Me Too and Me Too and Me Too, but the story behind Me Too and Tarana Burke and what she went through in her own life to say enough is enough and create a change. I mean, if anybody has changed the paradigm, has created that shift, it's somebody like Tarana Burke. And she's a speaker for you.
Yeah. No, again, another exciting person, you know, that Monday morning starts with Susie and then follows up with Tarana Burke at lunch. You know, and I don't know if you know her, she started Me Too several years ago.
Yes.
And it's, you know, been quietly gaining momentum, but then this year really took off. But again, it's that, you know, that feeling of I'm not alone. Here's someone else who went through something. Here's something I can relate to this person. You know, I'm joining a chorus of Me Too, and, you know, there's other women out there that are saying Me Too, and really as a snowball effect of courage for people to come forward and add their voice to it.
To me, Me Too created the most important thing that I can think of, and that is it created a dialogue.
Exactly.
Heretofore, there was never any discussion. There wasn't any discussion between men and women. There wasn't any discussion between men and men other than what was in private, or women and women other than what's private. Now, there's a true dialogue. And I don't know how you can change without having a dialogue.
No, absolutely. I mean, nothing changes unless you're willing to have a conversation, and particularly a courageous conversation and a difficult conversation. But the other side of that conversation is you have to be able to listen, and listen to people that have a different point of view, a different perspective, a different experience. And somewhere, you know, you meet, hopefully you learn a little bit and you meet in the middle in terms of having a better understanding of somebody who, you know, may be different than yourself.
And that's the best part of having a dialogue. Because I think if you just talk to somebody who agrees completely with you, that's a monologue to me. It's when people disagree that you have the opportunity for understanding.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's the critical part, is understanding. Talking about understanding. One of your other speakers is an amazing individual, and she is the sister of Vice President Joe Biden. And her own personal experience, I mean, she's probably one of the few women ever that's run presidential and vice presidential campaigns and senatorial campaigns. She has an amazing amount of experience about what it takes to be that individual.
She does. I mean, again, another incredible story. She was running her brother's campaigns back in the 70s, 80s, when there weren't women doing that. But beyond that, I think, you know, sometimes I think she gets a little bit in the shadow of her brother. But when you look at her resume and her accomplishments and what she's done, she really goes around the world and talks to women about this very thing. Like, you run for office. You go out and do changes. Here's what you need to do to take a leadership role in whatever, whether it's your workplace, your community, a nonprofit. You know, here's the skills you should have, and here's the things you can do, but you do it, and you make the difference.
The next person I want to talk about is an amazing individual. I had a chance to hear her once. Immaculée Ilibagiza is an amazing individual. Immaculée is one of those people that when you hear her, when you understand what she has gone through in her lifetime, what she has accomplished is, to me, the candle that lights the room. Yeah,
every time I tell her story, for people that don't know it, I stop and I just think, again, going back to, like, whatever's holding me back is nothing compared to what this woman has gone through. So, you know, she survived the Rwanda genocide by hiding in her pastor's bathroom for, I believe, 91 days.
91 days.
With 8 other women, I believe. And her entire family, other than her brother, who was out of the country, and her village is massacred in the genocide. She not only is she hiding, but she uses those 90 days to teach herself English with a Bible and a dictionary. You know, if that wasn't enough, then after the genocide is over, and things have turned to, I don't even know you say normal. She has a chance to come out of hiding. At some point she comes face to face with the people responsible for wiping out her family and her village, and she forgives them. I just even saying this story, every time I say it, I am so blown away by that compassion, that forgiveness. I don't even know. I can't wait to hear her.
The power of her speaking about change, about accepting not the change, but accepting what the future can be if you put yourself into it, to me is an amazing factor. Right? And I don't care whether it's I don't care whether it's a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old. I don't care if it's male. It doesn't matter. It's the message that she portrays about finding that inner strength and being who you are. And I talk about on the show all the time about, if you don't know what's inside, if you don't know who this is inside, then you'll never be able to get to where you want to be in your lifetime. And I think what the Women's Leadership Conference does, bringing people like those and some 20 more speakers, is an amazing opportunity for people to, but I've got to ask you the question, because if I don't, people are going to say, why didn't you ask the question? Why does MGM do this? Is it because MGM, with everything that has gone on, feels as though this is the only way to get better publicity? Or is it a true commitment of MGM to be able to do things like this for the communities in which they serve?
Sure. So this is our 12th year. So we have a strong track record of doing the conference. As you mentioned, the conference started in 2007. And it actually started as the Women of Color Conference. The Diverse Chamber of Commerce's here in Las Vegas started it. MGM was the first to get behind it, and eventually took it over, and then in conjunction with the chambers, made it what it is today, the WLC. But this is really an event that goes to the company's commitment to the community, to the company's commitment to women. We've been doing this for, again, this is our 12th year. But really it goes back to the very part of this conversation where we started. This is a collective effort. It's men and women, and the company's men and women are behind it. The company's men and women put it on, and that committee is comprised of men. And we do this because it makes our company better, but more importantly, it makes our community better. So when we have other gaming companies that are at the conference, that are sponsoring the conference, that are sending their employees to the conference. We have, Jan Jones, who's with Caesars Entertainment, who was the first mayor of Las Vegas, speaking at our conference. We look at this conference as a community event, because when the entire community and the women in this community are energized, engaged, and are working at their best, all of us benefit.
It's that dialogue. It's that sense that you get when you share with each other, when you understand that indeed, if you just can get past what has been the norm in the past to what we can create for the betterment in the future, it just seems to me as though that's a much better thing to be able to do.
Oh, of course. And, again, when we broke down the speakers and their stories and their lessons, again, those are universal lessons. Those are lessons for men. Those are lessons for women. So we want people to come out of the conference, whether they're a man or a woman, excited to run for office, to go out and do big things. Because, again, all of us benefit by everybody in this community performing at their best. And
to change things for wives, girlfriends, neighbors, friends, granddaughters. I have 2 granddaughters. I want it different for them.
Sure.
I want it different for them. And I think for all of us, we need to be able to be part of the change. If you keep on talking about the way things are and are not part of the solution, then it'll never change. And I honestly believe this will be part of the solution. So thank you very much for being with us. And I think what you do is amazing. I think the conference is very, very important. So thanks for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Once again, the conference is August 27th and 28th. You can still go online, get information. It's a great conference, and I think it benefits women, but also men. And anytime you can do that, it's a great thing for all of us. We'll be right back with some final words in a moment. Stay with us. You know, it's clear to me that conferences like the Women's Leadership Conference are so very, very, very important. And considering some of the speakers that will be here and the topics that will be discussed, I think it can help change the way things are going. We must have gender equality if we're going to go any place in this world, and especially in this country, and especially for business, as the future is really set in what the businesses do. So it's important. Hopefully you gain some insight also into what is really happening and what can be done through the Women's Leadership Conference. I'm Steve Schorr. Until the next time, be safe and enjoy life under the Vegas sun.